The one thing the internet does not need is more multi-hour retrospectives of Morrowind. However, it is a rite of passage that every single YouTuber video essayist will at some point make a multi-hour retrospective of Morrowind. Is this just a primer for me before I eventually make my multi-hour retrospective of Morrowind? Yes. Will I get round to it anytime soon? No idea. What about a retrospective of Morrowind retrospectives, where we go back and look at all of the videos that already exist critiquing Morrowind and work out which is the best critique video? Oh, you might have just broken the formula. You might have just found a new thing to do. Instead of critiquing the game, we critique the critiques of the game. Meta. Unfortunately, we all know how that would work. The answer would be, it would go to the 6-hour patrician tier review that most of us have probably started watching. That's what it would go to, because that just covers everything. Immediately. Reacting to reaction videos. What if I then made a video critiquing my own critique of the critiques of Morrowind? It's critiques all the way down, baby. It's just endless critiques. Yeah, that patrician review is the best. That's my comfort video. I throw that on. Critiquing critiques sounds like a reaction video. Yeah, so you'd think that, and that's because it very much would be, because it would be very little effort to actually just sit and watch it. But what you don't understand is that this is streaming. This is objectively the hardest job in the world. Teaching in difficult schools, not a problem. Nothing. Easy, if anything. You know, being a firefighter, once again, nothing. Streaming is the hardest job in the world, guys. Stop it. Just because I read words wrong sometimes, you don't understand the pressure that I'm under to play Morrowind. You don't get it. You wouldn't understand. Teaching, not difficult. Firefighter, not difficult at all. You know, support worker in war-torn countries, if anything, walk in the park. Spend an hour streaming Morrowind, then come back to me. Then you'll know pain. In all due seriousness, that take was wrong. Just straight up wrong. There's no real subtlety around it. Just wrong. Very hard to defend. 20-hour shifts in the coal mine? Yeah, try putting in 20-hour shifts in the Dagoth mines. Yeah, then you'll know pain. Okay, so to add a bit more complexity to the streaming is the hardest job argument, which is being made by a couple of streamers right now. I don't want to get pulled into the drama of it because, I mean, ironically, what I'm about to say is going to tie into that. Any work that you do will involve a level of effort and energy and struggle on your part, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, whatever you put effort into, it will take something out of you, something that needs to be recovered at the end of the day, whether it's recovered mentally through rest and relaxation or recovered physically through decent nutrition and getting your body to rest. Every single job has challenges that you will go through. Some of them are very physically draining. You know, I'm pretty sure if a guy working in a factory for 18 hours a day, moving heavy weight from place A to place B, no one is denying that that is physically draining. It really is, because you're using an incredible amount of energy and calories just to do your job. Is it the most mentally taxing job in the world? Possibly not. Because you know exactly what you need to do and you don't need to question the routine that you're doing. A mentally taxing job might not be anywhere near as physically draining, but you're constantly making decisions. You're constantly questioning yourself. Other people rely on your decisions being correct. Your income relies on your decisions being correct. This is why there's actually a thing called decision fatigue. And if you ever look at really kind of high-flying, high-powered people, whether it's presidents or executives or prime ministers or that kind of thing, Steve Jobs is a great example, these people wear the same clothes every single day. One of the reasons that people wear the same clothes every single day, and it's the reason I do it with this, is because you are taking a decision away from yourself, and therefore you are not needing to commit the mental resources to make that decision. Have you ever woken up in the morning, looked at all the clothes you've got, if you are lucky enough to have many clothes, and said to yourself, I don't know what to wear? That tiny indecision, that moment of I don't know, forces you to make a decision. You then have to come up with something. You have to come up with some kind of uniform, some kind of creations, throw some clothes together. It happens most when people are at college or university and they're like, oh my God, I really have to find something new to wear every single time, that kind of stuff. The more decisions that you have to make every day, the more drained you are going to get mentally. Now, there are lots of jobs where people are making hundreds of decisions every day. It's one of the reasons that I know exactly what I eat for breakfast every day. I eat the same thing every day. I know exactly when I'm going to have cups of tea or drinks of water every day. I time it so I don't need to think about it. My alarm goes off. I'm like, okay, cool. I need to go and now have a glass of water. That's what I do. I know exactly what game I'm going to play. I know when I'm going to stream. I try and automate as many decisions as I possibly can. Because if I can automate decisions, I don't need to make them. And therefore, I'm not committing as much mental energy to making those choices. Now, the whole thing of streaming is draining. That's undeniably true, because it is a job. It is a job that you are committing both mental and physical resources to. Sitting in a chair doing absolutely nothing for 8 to 10 hours a day still has a level of physical drain on the body. It's very difficult to sit still for a hell of a long time. It sounds silly, but it really is. If you've ever tried to just stand or sit still for a long time, it is annoyingly draining after a while. You want to get up and walk around. It's just natural that you would want to do that. Is it as draining as running a marathon every day? No, not at all. But there is still a level of draining to it. Then you have a look at making these decisions constantly, working constantly, talking constantly, entertaining, being aware of the game, being aware of the chat. It is impossible to deny that there is a level of drain to entertaining well. Anyone can stream. Very few people can stream exceptionally well. Lots of people can stream quite well, but in a relatively competitive environment, it is hard to build up and maintain a large audience. It takes a lot of energy. When I've finished streaming on Sundays, I don't talk almost all of Monday and Tuesday. I am just mentally gone. I'm like a ghost just floating around the place. But that's not to say that I think this job is much harder than any other job. So yeah, it definitely is draining. People often go, oh my God, feel sorry for the streamers making lots of money sitting playing video games. There are streamers making lots of money. There are streamers making very little money. And there's a relatively big chunk in what I would call the middle class of streaming who are definitely making a living from it and, toddling along, and they're able to do it comfortably. But if you were to take a month or two off, your audience would dip. Luckily, that's where I am, and I'm very thankful and very happy to be there. But I think what happens often is, and let me know if you guys have seen this, I tend to call it the suffering Olympics. Have you ever started talking to someone and you've said, hey, I'm suffering a little bit, and they've gone, oh, that's nothing. I'm suffering more. Or, you said to them, oh, I'm quite tired. You think you're tired? I'm far more tired. The story topper. The one-upper. And I guarantee, guys, if you've met a one-upper, whoever you've met, I've met one worse than you. Did you get the irony of that? The little joke? Little jape there, see? Little joke worked it in for you. See? Little meta humor for you. We're an hour into the stream, guys. It's going to get meta. Yeah, thank you for appreciating the cleverness of that joke. But what has happened is you have a group of people who think that whatever job they do is the most difficult thing in the world. You have a group of people that think whatever job they do is the most difficult thing in the world. The truth is, there are lots of jobs that are difficult, lots of jobs that some people find easy and some people find difficult, but if you do anything well, you're going to be putting a huge amount of effort into it. And yeah, it's tiring. It is tiring. To say anything is the most difficult job in the world, that's hugely contextual. And you've got so many different facets of this that you just know. We don't know what the most difficult job in the world is. Although, I've been a warehouse worker. It's physically draining. I've been a teacher. It's incredibly mentally taxing. I've been a mechanic. That hurts your hands after a while. Also, I would say that so far mechanic has been one of the most confusing jobs I've ever had, because where do the 10mm wrenches go? That's one thing I never quite got. And I worked as a mechanic for a long time. Where do they go? Did I pick up the shield? Yes, I did. There it is. Shadow Shield. That's the one. Yeah. There's a separate dimension for the 10mm wrenches. No one knows where they are. No one knows where the 10mm ratchet has gone to. Ever. And that's a really specific kind of mechanic-based humor, if you will. But I still have no idea where they all go to. I think as well, it's very easy to get caught up in thinking that whatever you're doing is harder than whatever someone else is doing. Might be, might not be. But it's very difficult to maintain, and this is me being honest with you guys, it's very difficult to maintain public sympathy whenever two things are true. One, whenever you are telling other people that they are wrong and you work harder than they do. No one likes hearing this. And two, when you have a lot of money. No one, absolutely no one, likes being told by someone with a hell of a lot of money that they don't work as hard as they do. Because when that old lie that was fed to us, oh, if you work hard, you know, you'll have all the stuff you need. If you just work hard, you'll get rewarded. We're slowly learning it's a lie. The truth is, if you provide value, you get rewarded. Provide value, work smarter, not harder. If the whole work hard thing was true, do you think it is possible at all to work so hard you earn $1 billion of anything? $1 billion, £1 billion. No one can work hard enough by themselves to earn $1 billion of anything. Not at all. Someone once said to me that, oh, Elon Musk, he's a CEO, he's a billionaire, that's a full-time job. I'm like, he's the CEO of 4 companies, so at most he's doing each of them 25%. That, by definition, is not a full-time job. Imagine just turning up for 25% of any of your regulated shifts and being like, yeah, I'm providing as much value. I deserve $1 billion for being here at least. So no, I feel that what happened with the whole kind of discussion of hardest job was, it was a combination of some people valuing the amount of money people have, some people being annoyed at it, and also not understanding that, you know what, hey, even if someone does have $1 billion of anything, I'm not denying they put effort into their work. They definitely do. But you're going to lose a lot of public sympathy if you just straight away come out and say the quiet part out loud, which is, I work harder than you. You might think that, but when you say it, people are going to hate you for it. The wording was pretty bad. Yeah, the wording was very bad. You do sometimes need to kid gloves and sugarcoat slightly and say, hey, I'm gonna phrase this in a way where people aren't going to hate me. No one cares how hard you work. What matters is the results. Straight up. You can work for 10 minutes and someone 10 hours and 10. So I frequent the subreddit NewTubers, which is a really interesting subreddit about how to help people become better at YouTube. And the first thing I will admit is that I don't know how to be good at YouTube. I only know how to make the videos that I enjoy. So I'll say to people straight up, look, I can give you some advice that I think would work, but don't quote me. I'm not a guru. I'm not going to sell you a course. Guys, just so between you and me, I think you will all know that I've fully fallen off the wagon when I start pushing crypto, starting a podcast, or selling you a course on something. It seems to be the way that all the crypto bros must go. If you are a successful middle-class white guy, you must at some point sell someone a course. That's just how it goes. It's the law. We all have to sell you a course at some point on something. And it has to be a 4 or 5 part course, and by the time you get to part 3, you've gained no information at all, and then you can't refund it. So selling us a course on how to start a crypto podcast, I would do that. Like a course on courses. Where was I going with this sentence? There was a point before the tangent happened. There was a moment. That was it, NewTubers, about advice and stuff like that. One of the things told to newer YouTubers is, you got to put out loads of videos. Loads of videos. No, you don't. You've got to put out a few good videos. People will watch them and like them. I mean, Kadikarus doesn't put out a video every day. Kadikarus puts out a video once every, 6 months? They're brilliant videos. People will come back to them. They have value. Create long-term evergreen content is one of the best ways to do it. But another bit of advice I see banded around all the time is, if you spend effort on something, it will be rewarded and you will see feedback for that. You'll see income from that. Not entirely true. Here's a great story. There was an old story of a mechanic on a Navy ship, and the ship had a couple of problems with it, and the mechanic walked on and within about 10 minutes managed to fix it. And he submitted a bill, and the bill was obviously remarkably expensive. And the military were like, can you please itemize this bill for us so we know what the hell we're paying for? And I think it was a joke story, but the itemized bill wrote, hitting something with a hammer, $1. Knowing where to hit it, $9,999. I thought, yeah, that's pretty much it. You're paying for the knowledge, you're paying for the ability and the efficiency and the speed. It's a great way of doing it. You're paying for a result, not the time. I think this is a very kind of boomer mentality of business. People say, oh, you've got to be in the office for 8 hours a day. Okay. Are 8 hours of work going to get done? No. Nowhere near. Not at all. You'd be lucky if you get 3 or 4 hours of work done. The result is the result, not the process. If you want me to be somewhere for 8 hours a day, all right, cool. Pay me for being there for 8 hours a day. If you want me to deliver you 8 hours worth of work, now we're talking something different. Now we're talking something very different. And it very much is this return to the office mentality. And I think it's a lot of the older bosses. I mean, stop me if you disagree with this, but older bosses, especially managers that like being in the office, they just like looking at all the people they can lord it over. All the people they can just walk around and say, hey, you work harder. They like being there because they like having all of their little peons around them they can boss around. Because, and this is what they're terrified of, if those peons continue working without them around, what the fuck are they doing? Middle management are terrified that people have autonomy. Middle management very much believe that they are the kick that the greasy wheel needs, the squeaky wheel, sorry, in order to keep working. If you take people out of the office and suddenly they are making as much, if not more money, they are doing as much, if not more work, what was the point of the office? Well, originally the point of the office was the average person didn't have a computer and there was a hell of a lot of data and physical paper to be stored somewhere, so we needed an office to physically store it. But now, lots of people have computers at home, not much is stored on paper anymore. You can do a hell of a lot of work from your house, provided you have all of the setup that you need to do it. Why are people so obsessed with offices? Could it be because lots of old people have a huge amount of money invested in the real estate of an office and they're still quite tied to the idea that they have to stand there and lord it over all of their employees? It couldn't be that, could it? Spoiler, yes, it was exactly that. It's just so strange that the amount of things when I see news reports of like, we need to return to offices, it's always written by like, Sir Reginald von Baron Landowner IV, and then you go and have a look at his portfolio and it's like, oh yes, I own half of the office blocks downtown. I'm losing money because no one's in them. I'm like, that sounds like a skill issue. I bought all of this land and no one's using it. Oh, we need to get people back onto the land. In medieval times, people worked in their own homes and that's where their jobs usually were. Yeah, pretty much. Maybe landed gentry. You know what? Streaming is the second hardest job. Landed gentry. That's the first hardest. Someone who owns but doesn't work in an office, because you might... Look, COVID was bad for everyone, but I think we often forget that it was worse for people who own office buildings. They, if anything, are the real heroes here. They were hit very badly when everyone's like, hey, you've all got to go home. Tragic. F's in the chat for people that own multi-billion, multi-million pound office buildings that no one's in anymore because everyone's just doing the job from home.
What was that?
Oh, man. I think we often forget how difficult the landed gentry have it in life. I mean, I've known some people who have told me they've had to cut their yearly vacations down from 3 to 2. At that point, what's the point? Why are you even here? What is the point? Why are we even carrying on? My goodness. What I really love is, I love it when people who are massively out of touch try and say something that makes them seem in touch. And there was a horrible example of an English politician recently And they were talking to a refugee, and the refugee was like, I've lost my house, I've lost my livelihood, I've lost my land, I've lost everything that I've worked for, I've got nothing. And the politician was like, oh no, I know exactly what you mean, because last year I had to get rid of my summer home. Yeah, it's exactly the same. Spot on, mate. I've gone, you know what, you're totally right. If anything, he should feel sorry for you. You can't see it, but right now the world's tiniest violin. I just want my life back, BP CEO. You don't understand how difficult it is. Mega yachts are very expensive, and they would have had to give up their second home. Sorry, I just have very little sympathy for people who are massively out of touch with the world. Look, I'm a man of the people. I sometimes shop in Lidl. I sometimes wander around Waitrose and think, I don't want to pay this price. I'm going to come back when everything has yellow stickers on it. If you have brought me the 3 tokens of the warrior's test, I can speak to you further of the 3rd trial. I'm impressed. These 3 tokens you have brought me... So, Lidl, look, Lidl is great. I suppose what this is I don't want to come across as too bread tuber, because I'm not the champion that you need for that whatsoever. The man knows of the yellow stickers. Of course I know of the yellow stickers, all right? I was lucky enough to fall upwards into a middle-class lifestyle with a shirt and a waistcoat, but I am still very much the guy that will stand there at Tesco's while the poor employee uses the sticker gun to slowly mark down all the sausage rolls to 13p. Then I will buy them. Okay, do you guys want me to admit to a crime? I will admit to a crime right now. We'll see what the English police do. They'll probably do nothing. They're too busy. Sometimes I would go to Morrison's when it was end of the day and they would have yellow stickers, and I would find 2 items, 2 of the same item, one which had a yellow sticker on and one which did not. And sometimes I would scan the yellow sticker item and then I would put the one without the yellow sticker on the little weighing pad, and it would go, yep, that's the same item. And then I'd be like, oh, my ruse, I'm about to get away with it. Then I would scan the actual yellow sticker item. Then I would put that on top of the weighing thing, and it would go, yep, that is the yellow thing as well. Then I'd pay for them both, and then Morrison's would say to me, hey, do you want to donate some money to a charity? And I'm like, no, Morrison's, because then that isn't me doing it. That's just you saying, we donated this much money to charity this year. No, you didn't. I did. And you just took advantage of it by saying you did because I did it through your system. That's not how this works. So I clicked no. Then I paid for my things and walked out. Crime of the century. Oh yeah, by the way, when those things at the supermarkets are like, would you like to donate to charity? And then the same supermarket next year says, we donated 55 million to charity this year. No, you didn't, supermarket. Your collective customers did, because they clicked, yeah, go on then, at the end of their purchase, which means you paid nothing and you're now reaping the social rewards of saying you did something. I dislike how much they obscure what's actually happening with it. Some of them match the donation. Well, in that case, great. I'm sure the CEO can deal without a second yacht this year. Again, you use the vest with jeans. You unfortunately are yes, the little... Hey, I'm not wearing jeans. I'm not going to tell you what I am wearing, but I'm not wearing jeans. Anyway, I don't think that I'm the champion that BreadTube needs for that, because I very much do enjoy a lot of the benefits that capitalism has brought me. However, I still like to think that I'm not so out of touch that I would think my job is the hardest job in the world. It's not. It has its own series of challenges, but it also has its own series of benefits, which I think very much outweigh those challenges. Is it nothing? You can casually wear nothing. Look, I did the gym in the morning, okay? It's the black workout trousers from the gym. I've just not changed. Don't judge me. It's been a long day. Shut up. The lower half of Josh is currently dressed as Willy Wonka. I'm actually still wearing the Unknown's costume, because I have a confession. I was the unknown in the Glasgow Wonka experience. I wasn't. Can you imagine, though? Can you imagine? No, apparently it was an actress who played that, and she played it very well because she scared the crap out of some children. Well done. Right, acting skills, average. Oh yeah, that was when I got offended by the game and I decided to just leave. That was stolen valor for saying I was the unknown. Oh, beautiful.